Oh, there we go. Good morning and welcome to the Anne Arundel County Delegation. I'm Delegate Heather Bagnall, Chair of the delegation with Vice Chair Delegate Dana Jones. Before we conduct further introductions, I would ask everyone to welcome Delegate Andrew Pruski from District 33A, who will offer our pledge and our prayer.
Thank you, Chairwoman Bagnall. Good morning, everyone. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, if we can get the flag up on the screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, if we could just bow our heads in reflection. We do want to pray for those that are sick. We want to pray for those that are in need. We want to pray for a better tomorrow. We hope that today's business for the Anne Arundel delegation will bring positivity, collaboration, and we ask that everyone work together in the best interest for Anne Arundel County citizens. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Delegate Pruski. I also want to take this moment to welcome our senators, Senator Dawn Guile from District 33, Senator Pam Beidel from District 32, Senator Brian Simonaire from District 31, Senator Sarah Elfreth from District 30, Senator Jim Rosapep from District 21, and Senator Clarence Lamb from District 12. I also want to welcome our guests who are watching on the live stream, the Anne Arundel County chapter of the AARP. We also have Ethan Hunt and Hannah Dwyer from the County Executive's Office. I want to recognize our counsel, Matt Carpenter, our delegation secretary, Roger Massey, my chief of staff, Rory Nolan, and Josh Paper, chief of staff to Vice Chair Jones, who are providing technical support for our meeting. As a reminder, all delegation meetings will be on Zoom all this session as we complete the building of the DGS building. For those asking about when we might be back in person, we hope to be back in our delegation room for the 2025 session, but it doesn't look like we're going to be back in person this session. Our first guest was elected Anne Arundel County Executive in 2018 and was reelected in 2022. An Anne Arundel County native who was born and raised on his family farm in Davidsonville, Stuart Pittman has navigated our county through tornadoes, floods, and a once-in-a-generation pandemic, has stewarded the transfer of the Crownsville Hospital campus to establish the Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park, has increased recruitment and retention of our educators, firefighters, and law enforcement, and has pledged to make Anne Arundel County the best place for all by engaging in every sector of our community and in every part of our county. Welcome, County Executive Stuart Pittman.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and it's good to be here on the first day with you all, the first of your meetings. That's a great honor. Usually we wait in line for a few meetings and get in, but great to kick it off with you. Good to see many of you on opening day. I'm not going to cover everything that's going on in the county. I know that we have the secretary after me, so I just want to run through a few things really quickly in case some of you have heard and are concerned. The Lighthouse Shelter, as you know, I think they had a sprinkler system go off that had a lot of damage as a result of a light malfunctioning there. Turned out it wasn't an actual fire as I think it was first reported, but all of our team is working with the shelter staff, moving 44 people into hotels, working on the funding for all of this. Looks like we can use some of our emergency shelter funds. We've gotten permission from the state to do that. But you may be hearing more about some of those efforts because it's going to take a while to fix all the damage and get the wetness out of there. The other immediate thing is, as a result of the storm, the mayor is going to be declaring a state of emergency for the city of Annapolis today that will allow Anne Arundel County Economic Development to provide Volt loans to some of the businesses that were hardest hit. That is in Annapolis. We've been checking around the county, and it looks like there are not businesses that would be eligible in the rest of the county that we know of. So we are not planning to make that declaration. But let us know if anybody thinks that we're making a mistake there. Okay, so there are a couple of, let me introduce my staff. I'm sorry, guys. I do have with me our Chief Administrative Officer, Christine Anderson. Say something, Christine, we can see your face for those who don't know.
Good morning. Nice to see you all.
All right. And Jeff Ambrose, my Chief of Staff.
Morning.
And Ethan Hunt, who is our Director of Government Affairs.
Morning, everybody.
He's not Pete Barron, but looks enough alike, and worked with him long enough. I don't think you'll notice much difference. Hannah Dyer, who's our Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for all things finance, but has also done so much work at the state level that we need her on the team working with you all. Hannah.
Good morning.
And then we have our legislative assistant, Joshua Freeman, who has joined us from Chairman Ben Barnes' office, who's been with us for quite some time now. But Josh, are you there? Can you unmute and say something? Say hello.
I don't think he's in the room yet.
Okay, not in the room. And then Tom Nye, Government Relations and Communications Associate, is part of the Governor's Service Year program and with us for a year. Graduate of St. John's College.
Hello, everybody.
All right, great. And I think the rest of county government has been briefed. Ethan and Hannah have met with people from just about every department that you ever go to that provides expert testimony in a lot of cases. A lot of what you do here, obviously, is implemented at the county level. And so we are coordinating what they do through Ethan. So go to Ethan, he can connect you with the right folks. And we want to be there to make sure that you have all the best advice that you can get out of our departments. Two, I think, fairly simple bills that we're going to be bringing forth that really just impact this county that are probably not very controversial, but important to us. The first is going to be for managed aquifer recharge. Some of you know that we have this really exciting program where we have a system set up now that treats water out of our waste system and gets it to the point where I think you could actually probably drink it. Nobody has yet, but certainly can be pumped back down into the aquifer where we're losing water in our water tables. And for MDE to permit us to actually do that, we're going to need legislation. So that is one. And then the other is our Human Relations Commission has been put into our county code, has stepped up and is beginning to do some very important work in the county, and needs authority to be able to do subpoenas. That bill is based very much on how it's done at the state level with the State Human Relations Commission. So again, I think it's not likely to be very controversial, and hopefully we can get bipartisan support from everybody here. There are some that aren't specifically bills here that I want to talk about, that are more issues that you all may be doing bills on. The first, many of you were at the Arundel County Public Schools legislative breakfast the other day. One of the issues that came up that near and dear to I think all of our hearts is within the blueprint there is a requirement that we do preschools and a desire that a lot of that be done by the private sector, and the private sector is not stepping up, and there need to be some changes made to facilitate that. There are some barriers there that need to be addressed. We had 200 people at our child care and early childhood education summit recently, and I know Senator Elfreth has been working on this, and I hope that we can all work together on some legislation to make it possible for our team, economic development, and everybody to work with these small businesses. It's an opportunity for them if we fix it. There is on student mental health, another issue that we're all very concerned about, mental health for everybody, but particularly our youth right now. Within the blueprint, you may remember that they created this Maryland Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports, and there's $120 million to provide funding to nonprofit and county organizations that provide services in the community. Our concern, I just recently talked to our folks who have been working on this issue. You'll probably remember back in 2020 or 2019, I think it may have been even pre-pandemic. We had a summit and had a task force where we finally put together the school system's mental health folks and the county mental health folks, and they have been working ever since then, coordinating strategies. And so this is funding to do exactly what Anne Arundel County has sort of taken the lead in doing. The problem that exists right now is that it's already it's a system set up with hubs and spokes. So the spokes are the organizations that get funding in the community. The hubs are the county organizations. We expect it to be our mental health agency as our hub. The applications for funding for the spokes came before the hubs. So we don't know if we even have a hub to coordinate our strategy, the folks who've been working on this with the organizations that now have already applied. So in Anne Arundel County, we have 18 organizations that have applied for $28 million, and the decisions are supposed to get made in January. Then they start the process of RFPs for hubs. So the problem is that really there's no ability for our hubs, for our agencies, our folks who've been coordinating this work, to coordinate it early on. And at the state level, this commission is not part of the Department of Health. It's not part of education. It's an independent entity. Please, anybody who's working on this issue, talk to Adrian Mickler on our team, and of course, Ethan, and we can get you in touch with the right people if you want to help us try to resolve that and make this program work. Housing, I am going to be very supportive myself in testifying on the items in the governor's housing agenda. I think all three parts of it are things that I support. I think when they're doing the zoning issues, there's going to be talk about preemption. Anne Arundel County is already now doing all of the things that they're encouraging us to do. So I don't see any negative impact on us. So I would hope that we would all be supportive. There may be some controversy also on some of the tenant and eviction prevention work, particularly raising the fees for filing for evictions. I would just note that we have some of the lowest fees in the country and the highest rates of eviction and rates of filing in the country, and that raising those fees is going to create some funds that we can use for eviction prevention. Our team we are still funding some of that work. Many counties are not. Eviction rates are as high or higher than they were during the height of the crisis. So please take a good look at that, and I hope many of you will support. In terms of revenue to do the hard things like transportation, I'm not pushing any particular proposal at this point, but I would just have people note the Fair Funding Coalition that exists and has done some polling and has a menu of proposals that can create revenue for the state of Maryland that are going to the top of the income scale, going to places where tax rates have been cut in recent years and restore some of that funding. It's where the money has gone. And if the government needs money, that's where the government needs to go, in my opinion. So please take a good look at that. You can even take a look at their polling. They have a website, Fair Funding Coalition. I know that some of you are really looking at hard at reentry programs. And I had a great conversation with Delegate Munoz the other night. I know that I hope that we can come up with some good bipartisan proposals. But as you do that, please take a good look, talk to Chris Klein at our superintendent of detention. We have a new program, a new system with a reentry hub at Ordnance Road, and some new programs that are really doing very well. The Turnaround Thursday program has graduated 40 folks, and not a single one has been arrested again to date. Fingers crossed. So we're feeling as though we are a leader in that area, and learn that story so you can tell that story as you do that work. And on juvenile justice, some of you were at Mako and were in a session where our police department came in and talked about the Fresh Start program. And you may hear more about that from leadership and other counties, because it was so well received, and it's such an exciting program that others are going to be modeling what they do after it. And that's really the approach that our police department is taking, and that all of us should at least be focusing on is how do we get these kids to services and onto a better path? And Fresh Start is one that should definitely learn about, and that we're very proud of. And then budget requests, you might, if you check the paper this morning, there's a story about some of our priorities. The multicultural center that is in there, we were asked by the governor's office to prioritize our list. And so we put that at the top. We do not have a site identified, but this grew out of meetings with a lot of the nonprofit organizations and county organizations that serve folks who often came to the county not long ago, have language challenges, don't speak English well, and found that in order to, and we found this during the pandemic as well, in order to really connect them to services, having a site like many counties do that is a multicultural center where those organizations, those nonprofits can work out of, and where folks can congregate has real value. So we're going to be focusing on that. But we also have requests in for I think the second tier, the second, third priorities were the North Arundel Aquatic Center turf field was second, and the Eisenhower Clubhouse at the golf course there was third. And we also have EV infrastructure, housing at 7409 B&A Boulevard in Glen Burnie, and managed aquifer recharge that are next down on our list. So Ethan and team can talk to you more about all of those if you're interested. And then finally, I would just say one brief thing about the county budget, and that is that the town halls are just about to begin next. They're going to begin next week. We had to postpone the South County 1 District 7 this week. But if you go to aacounty.org/yourbudget, we've really got a lot of user-friendly information, and you can refer your constituents to that as well. Hannah Thompson in our constituent service, community engagement and constituent services did a really good workshop recently, and there's a site for advocates in how to effectively advocate for issues in the budget. Could be useful for everybody. So we're looking forward to that process as well. So I'll stop there and take any questions.
Thank you very much, County Executive. I'm going to open it up to the members. I see we have a question from Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, County Executive. You mentioned that you didn't think that the state, I believe it's called the Housing Expansion Act, you didn't think that that would affect our zoning any, and I know we're going through comprehensive rezoning right now, and there's a lot of work being done to that. Do you feel like, and I'm assuming you've taken a peek at this, at least the draft or the legislation, do you feel like that's taking away local control? And how do you feel like it'll affect our communities? Do you feel like it's going to supersede the power of our current county council and their ability to kind of legislate what zoning goes where?
So they are dipping their toe into that pond. I will admit that. Not like a lot of states have done, where they have mandated things that are not on the table in Maryland. And they have carefully, I'm talking about, Jake Jay and the Department of Housing and Community Development as they put this together. And they have been meeting with the Maryland Association of Counties every step of the way. And you'll note that right now there's a compromise. Sunsetting in 15 years was the request of MACO, and that's in there in case things don't work. It is for particularly situations where there's state funding to do, for instance, workforce housing, low-income housing tax credits and things like that, or on state land, to prevent counties from doing unreasonable, needs to be defined things in their zoning, to block those projects from going forward because there's a public interest in having housing for our workforce, keep our economy going. In the past, there was state legislation that protected agricultural and open space land from development by for instance, requiring septic systems. And yeah, there was some opposition to the state coming down because it's local land use. This is saying, well, we have another state interest, another public interest, and it is that if we don't provide housing for our workforce, our economy can't function really. Our small businesses are crying out for this. And so it is incentivizing in the zoning code, it is incentivizing some of these programs, some of this workforce housing. So I support it. I think sometimes it's actually a good thing for a higher level of government to tell the people who are on the ground that, look, there are some things that are just so important and so essential that just the way we do on fair housing at the federal level, that we all have to get on board. So I support it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. County Executive.
Thank you very much. Delegate Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome. Good morning, County Executive Pittman. First of all, I just want to say that it's a pleasure to see all the great work that is taking place in Northern Anne Arundel County as we continue to prepare on how we can build out our Northern Anne Arundel County area. I want to speak specifically to a couple of issues pertaining to my district. One of them being that there is a large increase in halfway houses in the Brooklyn Park area, which my office received several complaints about, none which I've figured out at this point how to address, but it's something I want to make you aware of. I think at this point it's about over 13 halfway houses in the Brooklyn Park community, which a lot of residents raise all types of concerns about. So I want to make you aware of that. You spoke a little bit about mental health, and mental health is something that I'm passionate about, especially in the middle school, high school area, and we're trying to work on that in the North County cluster area with Anne Arundel County Public Schools. So I want to thank you for continuing to champion mental health for our young folks and also our families. We often talk about how we can mitigate issues taking place with our juveniles, but we have to find ways to support our families and our working families a lot better, especially from a government standpoint and from a community building standpoint. As well as the Ordnance Road Center, I really think that was really knocking it out the park. The county getting out in front and kind of reappropriating parts of the jail for the reentry program and all the great work that's going on. And I can tell you that Montgomery County as well as Baltimore City is looking to duplicate that program and figure out ways that they can identify. So they've been working with your Ordnance Road folks to kind of champion that as well. One of the issues we do face with that location is that there's no public transportation to it. And that is concern with the program making it successful, if we can figure out a way of getting public transportation down that road of Ordnance Road from Ritchie Highway to that center at least to champion it. So continuation of thanking you and thanking all of your staff who's been out in the community making it happen. I know we're trying to stand up a new police department station in that area and build a new youth center. So as we look at economic development, I only ask that your staff continue to work with not only my office, but Senator Lamb's office and a delegation to make sure that we give Northern Anne Arundel County the attention that is rightfully deserved. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Delegate Simmons. I've taken notes on all of that. Some good proposals in there.
And I've sent you some documents as well.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Delegate Pena-Melnick.
Thank you and good morning. It is great to see you, County Executive Pittman. I basically just want to say thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you for really caring about the people in Anne Arundel and just having humility. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Delegate. I appreciate you too, by the way. You know that.
Thanks.
Yeah, we really do have an extraordinary team here in Anne Arundel. I thought I saw Delegate Lehman's hand go up. Delegate Lehman?
Yes. Can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I'm not turning on my camera because I am still in my morning dog walking clothes. So I hope y'all don't mind. But County Exec Pittman, I want to echo what Delegate Pena-Melnick just said. You're doing a phenomenal job. It was great to see you on opening day and wonderful to hear this update on all the various initiatives. My question is about youth services bureaus, because I just had this conversation with the College Park Youth Service Bureau, and this fits into the comments you made about, diversion type programs and mental health. I should know this, but I don't. Does Anne Arundel County have a youth services bureau? And what is your thinking? Have you had any conversations with the governor's people about trying to identify more funding for those. At one time, there were dozens of them around the state, and now I think there's something like 7. And I just think I'm convinced, as I know many of you are, that that's such an important component in addressing youth mental health issues and concerns about juvenile crime and that kind of thing. It's so worth that investment. So can you comment on that at all?
Yeah, as you were saying that, I was trying to figure that very question out. And we don't call it that. And I guess maybe for my staff, is that the same as our Partnership for Children, Youth, and Families?
Yes, and programs in the police department, which they coordinate.
Okay. So yes. We do call it the partnership, and it's robust, does amazing work. Pam Brown runs the partnership. You may have met her, but
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I have. That is good to hear. In Prince George's, and this was hard for me to understand when I saw those numbers, that there were more than 24, I think, at the peak of that program, and now there are 7. I assume those refer to countywide programs, because I know, and Delegate Pena-Melnick knows this, in Prince George's alone, we have something like 5. We have 2 in our district, in District 21, one in Laurel and one in College Park. They really are very effective. So that's why I wasn't sure where the others were, and if they were like your program, even if it goes by a different name, is countywide. But I'd love to talk to you and your staff offline about, how we can get additional resources, what that might look like.
yeah, we may be not quite aligned on what category of organization this is.
Okay.
I
can follow up.
If anybody else knows if this is something different from what I'm talking about with the partnership, let's follow up. Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Absolutely. And I think we had a final question from Delegate Schmidt.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, County Executive Pittman. Thank you, Chair. And thanks to all the staff. I did have a question regarding the independent entity you had mentioned about the mental health. Is that like a third party, or is that going to be an extension of government that's going to oversee that? Is that what you're looking at there?
It's a state appointed commission. They call it's the Maryland Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports. And it was created with the legislation and the $120 million to distribute that $120 million, really. And it's within the blueprint legislation, how this was created. So our people are just, concerned that implementation is not working the way we would like it to work in our county, where we're already sort of doing this work. So yeah.
Okay. How is the county doing right now mental health wise? I mean, do we have statistics that kind of report that out, or?
Well, we have, one of the statistics is the calls to our warm line, and as you know, we have this incredible system of that Jen Corbin runs, that is a combination of our mental health agency and our with our police department, so that they go out there, crisis response, and we have everybody looks at our overall system of services and tells us that we're leaders, we're doing great stuff. We know it's not enough. And the statistics show that demand is increased a lot. So we have increased funding for crisis response, where over the years, new programs lose funding over time, and then we have to catch up. I know Chairwoman Bagnall is kind of become an expert on this, and can probably speak to how we compare to others.
Yeah, I appreciate the transparency and the honesty, and I know that we can always do more. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, but it is exciting that our school system actually coordinates its work with our mental health agency and the behavioral health bureau of the Department of Health. And so now we really do have a team that is coordinating. And that's why it's so important for this new program and this funding with the hub, for the hub to come before the spokes, or at least be engaged right up front. So that we can continue to strategize as a county and not just have one-offs.
Sure. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, County Executive. And before I let you go, I did see Delegate Pena Melnick's hand was up. I just want to make sure that you didn't have another question or if that was up from before. All right, I think it may be up from before. Thank you again, County Executive, for all your work, for your transparency, and for your commitment to this county, and for coming before the delegation and answering our questions and always being available to us. I know that we will continue to reach out to you and partner, because I think our partnership is a really good model for Maryland. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for the work that you're doing there. You know, we got a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed, and I hope you guys figure out the right formula.
Well, I think we've got a lot of dedicated professionals that are working on it. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
Well, our next guest is an extraordinary public servant. So for those who I'm sure everyone is aware that the governor has declared 2024 Maryland's year for military families. In Anne Arundel County, we have the second largest veteran population in the state of Maryland. Our next guest, though appointed in 2023 to this position, is no stranger to service. Secretary of Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs, Anthony Woods, graduated from the U.S. Military Academy, West Point, with a bachelor's in economics and political science. He earned a master's in public policy from Harvard's Kennedy School of Government and an executive MBA from the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business. His service and sacrifice for the betterment of others is an extraordinary story in itself. And I strongly encourage everyone to take a moment after this and check out his full bio. It's incredible. Welcome, Secretary Anthony Woods and the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Hi, Delegate. I am looking and I'm not seeing him on quite yet. I think he was going to be popping on shortly. I don't know if you want to come back to him.
I am happy to do that. I saw you pop into my screen, and so I apologize. I thought that the secretary was here. I will go ahead and do some of our announcements, and then we can come back and everyone can actually go over to his bio and take a look at it, because it is really very, very impressive. But while we're waiting for the secretary to arrive, I just wanted to talk to the members about next week, and for anyone, our viewing public, we will be joined by Senator Ben Cardin, and we will also have our first bill hearings. As a reminder to our delegation, if you have a delegation bill, please contact Roger Massey to get on the schedule as soon as possible, so that there is no delay in getting your bill before your assigned committee, because I want everyone to be good stewards of your bills. Organizations who wish to be acknowledged by the delegation can email our delegation secretary at aacd@mlis.state.md.us. That's aacd@mlis.state.md.us. I also want to take a moment and wish a belated happy birthday to Vice Chair of Judiciary, our very own Delegate Sandy Bartlett. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And happy belated birthday to you as well.
Thank you so much. Delegate Chisholm, I see your hand up.
Yeah, while we have a moment, point of personal privilege, I would like to take this moment, since we're waiting on Secretary Woods, to just give my condolences and thank George Owens, who we lost back in the fall. And I know in the fall everybody's busy and it kind of falls underneath of everybody's radar, but he did such a phenomenal job with the department. So I just wanted to take a second and once again offer my condolences, thank his family for his service, and just keep him or his family in your prayers if you could. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Delegate Chisholm. That's very much appreciated. We all had we all had a really good relationship with Secretary Owens, and he was a man of courage and of service. So thank you for that. Oh, and I believe that that the secretary just arrived. So welcome, Secretary Woods. Thank you so much for being here for the before the delegation.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. And let me know, is now okay to jump in and start chatting?
Absolutely. So I did a big build up. We're very excited about the fact that this is the year of the year for military families, and of course Anne Arundel County with the second largest veteran population. We have a lot that we're trying to do in the county and in the state to deliver for our military families, and so we're really excited to hear from you about all the important work of the veterans, the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Delegate Bagnall, for your partnership across a range of issues, but also most recently with us talking about our upcoming Women Veteran Memorial. So thank you so much. We're excited about continuing that commission's work. So I wanted to give everyone just an update. I was going to say welcome back to Annapolis, then I realized actually with this county, you guys are probably always here. And then one of the things I've learned throughout the year since the last session that the idea that this is a part-time legislature is a complete and total misnomer because you all are constantly working. So just wanted to say welcome to the session, I suppose. And I'm really, really excited to partner and collaborate to do really great things for veterans, service members, and their families. Just to give you all a quick update of kind of what has been going on with the department between the last session and today. We did three kind of notable things that I just wanted to point out for everyone's awareness. The first one was something that Delegate Bagnall alluded to, is we actually launched an initiative called Maryland Joins Forces. The thinking behind it is the military, the broader military connected community often finds their issues kind of left behind, or they fall between organizational priorities. And we wanted to create an initiative that recognizes that government doesn't have all the answers. We are a small department, and there's really phenomenal work going on out in the community across the state, being led by nonprofits, corporations, mission-aligned organizations, veteran service organizations as well. And so the entire initiative is focused on partnering with those who do phenomenal work across the state to have an impact on veterans, service members, and their families. We're going to focus on kind of 5 key priorities. So topics like food insecurity, housing insecurity, jobs and unemployment, which is a very big challenge, education, health and wellness, and then service. So all of these types of issues are where you'll see us collaborate with nonprofits, other government agencies, with corporate partners in delivering in those particular areas. So that's one, Maryland Joins Forces. The second is you may have seen around Veterans Day, the governor signed 2 executive orders. The first one being reaffirming our state's commitment to the governor's pledge to end suicide among service members, veterans, and their families. And so that initiative really focuses on exactly what it sounds like. 2 kind of key things that we do with that. One is we've launched what's called the Ask the Question campaign. So really focusing on making sure that corporations, courts, police officers, hospitals, government agencies, that they, instead of ask if you are, well, one, they should ask the question at all, but rather than ask if you're a veteran, ask if you've ever served in the military or if you are connected to the military in some way. So if you are a dependent of a service member or a spouse of a service member, or if you were a veteran, for example. And so we find that that really helps to unlock authentic conversations that help to identify potential risk areas and changes the nature of the conversation. And then the second initiative under this banner is actually called, what we do, we trained military assistance providers. So we realized that service members, veterans, or family members who commit suicide, within 30 days, 60% of them have actually seen their primary care provider. So this initiative actually really focuses on making sure they are trained and prepared to spot risk amongst service members, veterans, and their families. So that was the second major update that occurred, was the state reaffirming our commitment to the governor's challenge to end suicide. And then the third one is the launch of a new commission to focus on the creation of a global war on terrorism memorial. And so that work will kick off. It's a one-year commission. Delegate Bagnall, we're hoping to learn lots of lessons from the commission you helped to create to speed this along. But I will also promise you we are not taking our eye off of that prize. We really want to make sure we're working on these types of issues in tandem. So we're going to take next steps there. So that's sort of the things we've been doing while you were away, even though you weren't really away. And then the second batch is kind of turning our attention to the upcoming legislative session. Well, now the current legislative session. There were 3 bills that we are incredibly excited that are out in the world now. We've been working on them and tinkering away with them with many of you for months now. So the first one is again, going back to this idea that folks who are in the broader military connected community, so family members, caregivers, and survivors, they often feel that they don't have an advocate who's working for them. And so we think, while some might think it's symbolic, we actually think it's actually quite important. But the bill that Senator Guile has introduced at our encouragement and in partnership with us after many months of conversation with her, would change the name of the department to the Department of Veterans and Military Families. It would add a deputy secretary who focuses on military family policy issues and helps to coordinate all of the wonderful resources that we have for that community. So that's one that we're very excited about. And then there are 2 bills that we brought forward that the governor actually has included in his agenda that we're really excited to work with you on. So the first one is the Families Serve Act, which again recognizes the contributions that family members bring to the table. In this particular case, it really focuses on military spouse unemployment, which is at 21% right now. We've seen the number range as high as 24%. And so with that, it will allow private sector employers to treat military spouses as almost like a protected class. So you couldn't discriminate against them in the hiring process. So it's very common for a military spouse to hear, "Oh, well, you're going to leave in 3 years, so why would we take the risk on you?" And then the second thing that it does is allow them to offer preferential hiring, which is something that we think is actually quite important. You often see veteran hiring initiatives. This would allow for military spouse hiring initiatives, which I think are so important. And then related to that bill, we would also, the state government would add an additional 10 points to a military spouse's application, really level the playing field and make sure that, the fact that they might have gaps in their resume or have changed jobs frequently doesn't hinder them in the government, state government job hiring process. So that's the Families Serve Act. And then the final bill that has formally been introduced is the Time to Serve Act. So right now, if you're a member of the Maryland National Guard or the Army Reserve, like myself, and you serve in government, you actually find that you spend a lot of your personal leave, use a lot of your PTO in order to serve. And so if you get mobilized for 25, 30 days, well, after that first 15 days, which is covered today, the rest of it's on you. Either you go unpaid or you use your personal vacation days. So the Time to Serve Act actually doubles the amount to 30 days, recognizing that, our reservists and our Maryland National Guard members are actually serving quite a bit more than folks realize. And we think that this is a great change. So those are the bills that have been introduced that we were very excited to champion. But as was the tradition last time, and now we're even more excited to do this time, we cannot wait to work with you on helping to craft legislation, but even more importantly, champion legislation, making sure folks know that the great bills that you are creating exist. And then I either personally would love to help to testify, write letters of support, or have a member of my team help to testify, or help you identify individuals who might meet that profile, who are uniquely impacted by the bill that you are creating, and help to bring them in for testimony as well. So thematically, some things that we're really excited about and we're already talking with you all in the legislature about. One, helping to crack down on those who would perpetrate fraud against veterans, claims sharks. So somebody who essentially says, "Hey, I can help you file your claim, help you increase your disability compensation rating, but I want to cut." We want to crack down on that because that is illegal. So that would be one. Another one that I'm very excited to share with you all. So all of you all helped to pass the Keep Our Heroes Home Act last year, which increased the tax exemption for military retired pay. But the governor's legislative office has actually signaled we would love to support anyone who is interested in removing the age distinction. So right now, if you're over 55, you're exempt up to $20,000. If you're under 55, you're exempt up to $12,500. So removing that over under 55-year-old age distinction, we actually think goes a long way. And if you think about it intuitively, we want that person who served 20 years, they're coming out of Fort Meade, they are a cybersecurity expert. We want that 42-year-old to stay right here in Maryland and have a second career, keep their families in our schools, have their kids go to our colleges, and have them have that second career, which also does bring in tax revenue. And so removing that age distinction, we think would go an incredibly long way, and we're excited to work with you on that. But with that, let me pause and just say again, thank you so much. I'm realizing when I looked at sort of the Anne Arundel County delegation, we are working with so many of you. And I just think it's a testament to what you mentioned, Delegate Bagnall, the fact that you have the second most veterans in your county. And you all truly care about the military community and the military connected community. So thanks for your partnership, and I'll answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Secretary Woods. And before I open it up to questions, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to also introduce your team, because I was remiss in introducing the team before we started.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure who's on from my team, but I'll share just kind of a couple of notable updates. So Bob Finn, who has served for many years, who did 2 tours in the department actually. He was the deputy secretary, and as of earlier this week, he's retired again from state service after being a Maryland State Trooper, a colonel in the Maryland National Guard. And so he has stepped down from the deputy secretary role, but will still work with the department as a senior advisor to help us complete the second veteran retirement home in Sykesville. So we announced that actually just this morning. And he has been replaced, although it won't ever be replaced. But I'm excited to share that Ross Cohen, U.S. Army veteran coming to us from Blue Star Families, where he was the chief external affairs officer. He's taken over the role of deputy secretary. So Ross Cohen is somebody who I'm excited for you all to meet. Dana Burrell, she is our communications outreach and advocacy director. You all should know her well and have worked with her many times over the years. And then Morgan Murphy, she was a person who I brought in as a senior advisor to really help with Charlotte Hall, help to quarterback our efforts to bring in a new management contractor. She has now assumed a new role. She's the director of intergovernmental and legislative affairs. And so if she hasn't already reached out to you and your chiefs of staff to find time for me and her to meet with you all, she will. And she's already tracking over more than 35 bills that we think you all are working on that have an impact on our community. So I'd point that out. And then if you need to be in touch, Andrew Labrati, newly promoted to Deputy Chief of Staff. He certainly manages my calendar, but also helped to craft legislation and policy. So I'd share that. We have a wonderful team, Denise Newey as well at our COA team. So I have a phenomenal team. We are excited to work with you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. I see a hand from Delegate Jones.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman. And it is not a question, it is more a statement. Secretary Woods, I have absolutely adored working with you and your staff. Here in Maryland, we are so incredibly lucky to have such a bright, shining star. And so I look forward to continuing in the 90 days on several things. And I just want to thank you so much for coming and speaking, especially with my heavy military, both personal background as well as the district for which I represent. So I just want to, again, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much, Delegate Jones. And it's actually a reminder, and I just sort of share this. I believe I'm the only cabinet secretary who is openly a member of the LGBTQ community. And so I would just simply add, that is a topic area or an issue area where I'm personally very excited about. And so Delegate Jones, just want to say thank you for your leadership on some of the bills you're working on. I won't spill any beans. I'm not sure what's out just yet, but I'll simply sort of share with all of your colleagues that I'm delighted to collaborate with you all on anything that you think intersects with the LGBTQ community as well, whether it's helping to organize testimony or to testify myself. Very delighted to be a partner.
Thank you so much. Delegate Simmons, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome, Secretary Woods. Just want to say it's a pleasure to meet you and to know the work that is taking place on behalf of our veterans. As we spoke about earlier, how we have a large population of veterans here in Maryland and also in Anne Arundel County. I want to speak specifically about the mental health and suicides taking place in the military community, which we often don't shed enough light on, specifically around our hospitals. Recently, there's been an uptake of veterans that have been presenting to hospitals that have been placed on suicide watch or suicide holds and things of that nature. And I believe at this point, Silver Springs Hospital in Silver Springs is probably the only one that does a complete, robust training with all of their staff on how to deal with veterans. And working in a hospital system, I often would tell folks that, you know, veterans are a little different than the average patient that comes in only because of their skill set. And a lot of times their skill set is underestimated in a crisis. And so my question would be, what are y'all doing to work more with our hospitals to prepare them for training them on how to deal with and provide services for our veterans?
Delegate Simmons, it's a perfect question. Thank you very much for asking it. I'd probably point back to under that broader banner of the Governor's Challenge to End Suicide Amongst Service Members, Veterans, and Their Families. One of the pillars that I mentioned is the TMAP program, Trained Military Assistance Provider Program. That is 100% designed for medical providers in the community. So we know that obviously those who work on our installations, they have military cultural competency. They're used to working with veteran service members and family members. It's outside in the community where we know that they would be well served to ask the question, have you ever served, or do you have any connection to the military? Because it unlocks an entirely different set of questions. And then the good thing about that training is it also provides them, I'm forgetting the protocol, but it's essentially, I think it's Columbia University helped to create a basic protocol that's widely used that helps to sort of go through essentially a checklist of asking all the questions related to suicide ideation. And so the good news is not only does that provider come away with some military cultural competency, they know that they should be asking the question as part of their intake process. Did you ever serve, or are you connected to the military? But then it also equips them to more appropriately spot and assess risk of suicide. And that is true regardless of service connection or not. And so we're excited about that. That has become, I'm a big data-driven person. Our governor is a very data-driven person. And so one of the things that we have as part of our KPI dashboard is, okay, how many providers did we train this month? And how many did you train last month? And so we want to see that number tick up. Knowing now of your connection and your sort of thoughts on this, we'd love to see if there are hospital systems, if there are providers. They often don't know that this is available. It's free. It actually counts towards continuing education, which is a requirement of nurses, of medical professionals. So it's actually really wonderful training, free, very skillful, and beneficial to them beyond just those who serve in the military. And so we're excited to keep rolling this out and keep tracking this, and we're delighted to share progress with you.
Thank you so much, Secretary Woods. Thank you so much for coming before the delegation, for making yourself so available, and for your heart of service and your commitment to the needs of our veterans and our military families, and looking beyond the lens of service and beyond. And also for all of your work around suicide prevention and mental health access for our military populations and our military families. I see no more questions from our members, so I'm going to thank you very much. Members, I speaking of protocol, I missed a bit of our protocol for our first meeting, because it feels like we've been here more than 2 days, but so I wanted to make sure that we adopted the bylaws. So if I could have a motion to adopt the bylaws.
I move. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, can we call the roll?
We'll call the roll for January 12th, 2024. Vice Chair Jones,
Here.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Aye.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Henson,
Yes.
Delegate Howard, Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman, Delegate Munoz,
Yes.
Delegate Pena-Melnick,
Yes.
Delegate Pruski,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers, Delegate Smith,
Yes, and Delegate Chang was a yes. I'm not sure if you heard him there, Roger.
yes. Delegate Simmons,
Yes.
Chair Bagnall.
Yes.
Yes, we have quorum.
All right. So my understanding is that was a roll call just for quorum. So we need to take the roll once again on the motion. Is that correct? To adopt.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. It's been a year.
Okay, so this next roll call will be for adoption of delegation rules for session 2024. Vice Chair Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Henson,
Yes.
Delegate Howard, Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman, Delegate Lehman, Delegate Munoz,
Yes.
Delegate Pena-Melnick,
Yes.
Delegate Pruski,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers, Delegate Smith,
Yes.
Delegate Simmons,
Yes.
Chair Bagnall.
Yes.
By a vote of 12-0 with 4 absent, motion carries.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being adaptable. And I did want to give our vice chair an opportunity to just announce your district night, if you would be so kind. Oh, you're on mute. Okay. I'll go ahead and announce it on your behalf. On behalf of or Delegate Henson, are you available? Nope. Okay, got it. I'll go ahead and announce it on behalf of the District 30 delegation. You are having a district night on January the 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Annapolis Market House.
Chairwoman?
Yes.
There was a technical problem. I could not unmute. I want to thank you so much for highlighting Delegate Henson, Senator Elfreth's, and my district night. I apologize. We still are virtual, and I was unable to mute there for a moment. So thank you so much. It is on Facebook, our social media, as well as my newsletter. I really hope to see all of you at the Market House to join us. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Are there any other announcements from the members? Seeing none, if I can have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And I got you out at 9:30. That was my goal. Thank you, everyone.